Hey, I'm Alex for Tight Poker News. The World Series of Poker started this week, and we saw two of the biggest televised pots in poker history. Let's get into it. In case you've been asleep at the poker table or under a rock, you may have missed the news, but it's Christmas for poker fans as the World Series of Poker has begun. With the famous words, shuffle up and deal, WSOP VP Jack Effel officially kickstarted the series on Tuesday. Running from May 30th to July 18th, the 54th annual series will feature a record-breaking 95 bracelet events, and all signs point towards this year having the biggest main event ever. The $500 casino employees event opened the action before the $25K high roller event brought in a glittering cast of superstars. Both Dean Eggs and Phil Hellmuth managed to survive a grueling day one, so that should be the big news of the week, right? No, not exactly.
If Handz had found that call there, it would have been our biggest pot ever.
It was Hustler Casino Live's multi-day $1 million buy-in cash game that had the poker world's attention. Across 5 days, millions were put on the line and world records were smashed. Initially, it was TP fave and poker's best vlogger and best poker personality, Ethan Rampage Yao, who stole headlines with an absolutely epic Balls of Steel bluff. He fired 3 bullets against Handz, a regular in HCL's high-stakes games. Rampage blasted $50K on the flop, $175K on the turn, and a massive $618K on the river, eventually forcing Handz to fold his top set of queens. For a guy that was playing low stakes only 2 years ago, it must seem pretty surreal. Goat bluff and hand of the year candidate? Not so fast. In fact, it might not even make our top 3 hands from this cash series. Although there were a few other big pots, such as JRB stacking Aussie Matt for nearly $1 million, the first few days had some fans feeling a bit underwhelmed. However, the final night, featuring a lineup of Doug Polk, Tom Dwan.Brace, Wesley, Airball, Rob Yong, and others, more than lived up to the hype. Doug Polk came onto the show under a lot of heat, but promised to keep things spicy, and he didn't disappoint. Well, he left disappointed, but we sure did not. First, he tried to run a $400,000 river bluff against Durr with a 5 high and ran face first into a full house.
I know I win, probably.
Uh-oh.
The question was just if I'm shoving or not, dude.
Then he himself got bluffed off pocket aces on the river when the typically reserved LSG Hank pulled a rampage of his own with a nearly $1 million all-in river bet with just ace high. Move over ramp.
Fold.
Show him.
Big bluffs aside, the night and yet another moment in poker history belonged to Tom Dwan, the online poker boom's original golden boy whose rise to fame pre-Black Friday as a 20-something-year-old kid smashing up the old guard cemented him as a legend. 15 years after he challenged Phil Hellmuth to pick your stakes heads up, the new kid on the block had become the grizzled veteran himself, and it showed.
We'll see if you're even around in 5 years. We'll see if you're even around in 5 years.
Durr put on a masterclass throughout the stream and booked the biggest pot in the history of televised poker to the tune of $3.1 million after going with his gut and calling down Wesley's bet on every street, including an $800K river bet that put Tom all in.
There's the call.
Hey, call?
Call.
Tom Dwan has just won the biggest pot in the history of televised poker.
Afterwards, an elated Dwan toasted himself, and we'll admit we may have cracked open a bevy ourselves. Despite getting cooler near the end of the stream in a $900K pot, he still ended the show by far the biggest winner, to the tune of $1.6 million. Our boy is back, and he is better than ever.
Cheers.
Yeah, we're supposed to cheers. That's cheers to you for winning that huge hand. Are you feeling pretty good, or is this just like hashtag standard for you?
No, it's obviously not standard. I called off 1,500 big blinds with 1 pair.
Not enough excitement for you? The stream also featured the second biggest pot in live stream history, once again featuring Wesley, who sorely needed a rebound after the Durr drubbing. Homie took virtually the exact same line against Hank in the previous hand with Durr, only this time he actually had it. This is the face of a man who just lost a $2.2 million pot. Ouch. After over 14 hours of play, when the dust had settled, Durr was up 1.6 and Rob 900, while both Polk and Airball were down about $1 million apiece. Got your fill of cash game madness? Good, because the World Series of Poker is just starting to ramp up. Make sure to tune in to the next episode as we recap what's happening in the heart of the poker world in Vegas. Some familiar faces in the TP team will be on site and even competing in the action, so keep your eyes open if you happen to be in Sin City.